Alright, so what's up everyone, and welcome to Ketu in the 5th house. And what happens when you have Ketu in your 5th house in your birth chart? Well, what is 5th house? 5th house is known as a house of creativity. It is the house of children. It's a house that shows the potential for children. It is the house of politics and political discussion. It is the house of your academic studies. It is the house of speculative business, like stock market, like entertainment business, cinema, performing arts. Anything that does not guarantee your next paycheck is considered, speculative income, speculative business. And so you bring in Ketu here, the south node of the moon. And Ketu is isolation, separation, enlightenment, letting go of the material gains. It is the things that we have achieved in the past life. And so in this life, we're just here to fall back on them as a support in case. But that's not what we're really striving for. In this life, we're striving for where Rahu is, the north node, the directly opposite of Ketu. So when Ketu comes in here, these people feel that I am creative. I know politics. I know how to play the game of politics. I can, have children too. So, that's fine. But it's okay. I'm not really crazy about those things. And when the south node Ketu comes in here, it makes a person raise children with not too much, I would say not too much of an importance. They're like, okay, we're raising children, that's fine, it's okay. But it's not like they're obsessed with their education, they're obsessed with their academic learning, what are they doing in school, how they're, behaving. They're just like, hey, we got children, all right, let's just raise them as they're supposed to be raised. And especially in politics, these guys are like, I know this, but it's like, I'm really not interested. I'm really not interested in these things because I just know what the game of politics is. However, when it comes to academic learning, these guys are very good at that. And when Ketu comes into the 5th house, their academic studies really goes towards research subjects. Because Ketu, the south node of the moon, represents subjects that we research. So it's all about, they can become scientist, they can become analyst, they can even become financial analyst, like I told you, with Ketu in the 2nd house. They want to analyze things, they want to research things. Because guess what research leads to? The ultimate truth. Because when a scientist does research, he's doing research to find a certain conclusion. Or he wants to know, does this thing work or not? And Ketu people are very good at that. So don't think that Ketu isolates itself from this side. Because when it comes to academic, Ketu is there. Because Ketu knows that I am going to learn something about the truth. So this is where the Mars detective orientation comes into play. Where how Mars wants to dig deep in Scorpio and wants to know the truth, extract the truth, because he was giving order by the king. Ketu is the same way. He says, I want to know the truth. But his truth is a little bit different from Mars, where Ketu really wants to know the spiritual truth, the scientific truth. What is it that's happening here in this house? Another thing that happens with this placement is that you can have children outside of marriage. Because south node is what? It's about separating yourself from society, separating yourself from the material wealth, and looking at things as a whole and isolating yourself from that. So when it comes to the 5th house, how can a person isolate themselves from society? It is breaking the taboo of marriage, which literally doesn't mean anything anymore. Because I know so many people having kids outside of marriage, but people tend to have that normally now. That, hey, let's just have kids like Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt. And if I'm not mistaken, I don't know if Brad Pitt has Ketu in the 5th house. I'll check that actually. I'm not sure, but Ketu here makes you want to go just have kids without any proper thinking, without any proper planning. They're like, okay, you want to have kids? Fine, let's just do it. They don't resist it. But why is it that Ketu sometimes block kids? Is when the Lord of the 5th house is debilitated or sitting in the Dushanta houses. Dushanta meaning the 6th, 8th, and 12th. These are known as the evil houses because we're not in control of these houses. And so this is when a planet goes in these houses or the 5th Lord is debilitated and Ketu is sitting there, then it gives struggle in having children. But again, Ketu is a significator of a boy. Your son is signified by Ketu. So obviously, if the 5th Lord is well placed, then definitely you will have a son, you will have kids. You can have a lot of kids because of the aspect of Rahu on the 5th house. But the thing with Ketu is that when you have kids, most likely your kids can be raised away from you. You can abandon your kids. Okay? There are a lot of moms and dads who abandon their kids. So if you're watching this, you could be one of them. Or your kid could be a situation where your kid is living in a foreign land at an early age and he grows up there, so that there is a distance between the kids and the parent, especially the Ketu parent in the 5th house. But from the 5th house, Ketu looks at the 9th house of higher education, spirituality, religion, faith, belief, and its 11th aspect, 7th aspect on the 11th house of gains, network circles. And then Ketu looks at the ascendant, your body, your being, your personality. So let's see how those aspects do. So from 5th house, Ketu is looking at the 9th house of higher belief, higher learning, gurus and teachers. So Ketu is inclined towards that house. And this is why these people can easily attain their doctorate degree, PhDs, master degree in research, because they love that environment, because that environment leads them to know a truth. Now, it doesn't really mean that Ketu always wants us to find that ultimate truth, but if you really look at it, everybody wants to know the truth. Everybody wants to know what is this whole thing about, and that's because we all have Ketu. And because of Ketu, the South Node, we all question this at some point or another. But mainly in a realistic way, this alignment makes people find the truth about the things and subjects that they're studying academically in the 5th house. So if this people are studying about the embryonic bio mutation, they want to know what is the final process of this mutation, or how can we achieve this part that people cannot achieve. They want to go to that ultimate place and really find out that can we achieve this or can we not achieve this? What can we do with the DNA of this thing? And so they want to go into all these research subjects, and they want to just know that is this thing possible or not. And once they are done with that, then they move on to the next subject. So their concentration is very good in terms of academic studies, where these people may not do really well academically as if they were to pick up a very normal subject like business administration. They wouldn't want to do that. Their mind needs to be in a much more higher plane, because again, Ketu spirituality. Their whole academic learning is about spirituality. It's about knowing that divineness. So you can also learn ancient text like archaeologist, paleontologist, anthropologist, learning about ancient culture, because through looking at the past you can learn the truth of who we are. So you see a lot of researchers base careers with this. Then Ketu looks at the 11th house of network circle, of gains and incoming gains, your elder siblings. And so what happens here is that Ketu, and remember, Rahu is there networking. Rahu is doing his job. He's networking. He wants to be out there. He wants to gain a lot of money. He wants to do all this. But what happens is, because Ketu is in the 5th house, these people tend to ignore that children life, the political life, the creative life, in pursuit of what Rahu is doing. And that's where this tug of war comes into play, where Ketu doesn't really care for that network circle. Ketu doesn't really want to get the gains. So what happens here is that these people, although they're gaining a lot, they feel unsatisfied. They feel unhappy that I have all this gain, but why am I not happy? And going back to the other aspect of Ketu in the 9th house, 9th house is what? House of fortune, house of how fortunate you feel. So Ketu blocks that part. So no matter if you have $1 billion or $1 million, you feel you're just not fortunate enough, meaning that you have all this money, yet you're not using it for your own fun. Something is happening where your money is going out here, there, and you're just working towards it, but yet none of your network circles are coming in use, because all those network circles are like Rahu. They are just illusion. They're there to use you, or you're there to use them. So if these two planets, Rahu and Ketu, are in bad signs, and they're not feeling comfortable, it can show somebody who's a scammer in terms of speculative business. These people can cheat their network circle. These people can, just their whole life can be about just scamming people, because Ketu is looking at the ascendant, your entire life. So here, your entire life is about research, and your life is about academic research, academic learning. And at some point, you do want to take that spiritual route with everything that you have achieved and done, and you want to look back at it, and you're like, okay, next step, next stage. So and another thing happens, because Ketu is looking at your ascendant, which is your whole life, including your intelligence. These people are very eccentric in their intelligence. These people are come out like one of those eccentric people, man. I can't even think of certain people, like any kind of a philosopher, like let's say Plato, Socrates. They were kind of like out there. They weren't really thinking the way society does. Like Einstein is not thinking the way society thinks. He's out there thinking on his own realm. So most people think that, oh, they're stupid, they're dumb. But because their thinking is so high due to Ketu's energy in the other realm, they're far more advanced compared to their surroundings. So this is why, these are very intelligent folks, yet they're ahead of their time. Okay? So guys, this was my analysis on Ketu in the 5th house. If you're new to my channel, subscribe above, because you'll be finding out more about this stuff. And if you want to know where your south node Ketu is placed in your chart, check out the link below, check out my website, and check out my book, The Astrology at the Speed of Light. And when you get the book, I will send you the link to look at your own chart. Just make sure you follow the directions below. Otherwise, I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.